Okay, so in this video, it's going to be part 2 of the continuation of the mRNA and to destabilize the mRNA so that it does not stabilize the and enable the resistance of poly-A tail trimming or the caps that stop the trimming. So continuing on with foods, with the last food that I left off on, which was bone broth. Okay, now it seems that bone broth, that it actually um, has an enhanced translation, potentially stabilizing capped mRNAs. So maybe bone broth might not be that great because if the mRNAs are capped, then the poly-A tail cannot be trimmed. So bone broth has amino acids that tumors are also known to feast on amino acids because tumors have amino acid transporters that they upregulate. Some of the foods that are up next are actually way better than bone broth, but before that, a quick recap. Okay, so poly-A tail is the addition normally done by PAP or poly-A polymerase, which stabilizes mRNA translation. mRNA basically enables the strength of the poly-A tail to resist trimming, which is not a good thing because then cd70 will continue to persist. cd70 is on the tumor. If that goes on too long on the cd27 on the immune tail or on the immune cell, then that will lead to exhausted T cells. So decapping of the poly-A tail, that which is important because the caps prevents the poly-A tails from being trimmed. Decapping requires DCP1 and DCP2, which removes the 5 cap, therefore leading to mRNA degraded. The mRNA degradation enables the weakening of the poly-A tail so that it is more susceptible to being trimmed. Okay, now on to much better foods than bone broth. Up next is kimchi and sauerkraut fermented foods, which have butyrate, which are short-chain fatty acids, leading to histone acetylation, which increases transcription of decay factors at the chromatin DNA level, which is critical, such as for DCP1 and DCP2, because the transcription factors for those decay factors, they can be disabled or turned off at the chromatin level, maybe even possibly by tumors. Tumors might be able to intentionally do that as an immune escape tactic, but fermented foods such as kimchi and sauerkraut can allow and increase the transcription factors of DCP1 and DCP2. Because if those transcription factors at the DNA level are not increased, then decapping of the poly-A tail will not be able to work or won't proceed. Okay, so kimchi and sauerkraut just might be the top #1 food for decapping, especially for DCP1 and DCP2. Next food here is asparagus, rich in sulfur compounds, modulates methylation of mRNA caps, therefore influencing decaps, because the mRNA strengthens the poly-A tail to make it a stronger resisting against trimming. Okay, next one is salmon and omega-3, specifically omega-3 reduces ELF4E phosphorylation. So that's great because ELF4E is what helps the poly-A tail to even be recruited. Omega-3s slightly reduces cap stability. So omega-3 is good to remove the caps off the poly-A tail ends because the caps prevent the trimming of the poly-A tail. So that goes to show that the tumor goes through great lengths and puts a lot of steps or a lot of blocks in the way to make it difficult and more energy and time consuming to take off the poly-A tail. Next food here is rather good, is a red cabbage and its anthocyanins. May destabilize AU-rich mRNAs, therefore allowing the poly-A tail to be more susceptible to trimming if the mRNAs are destabilized. Red cabbage even has astaxanthin, okay? Strong antioxidant, inhibits mTORC1. Now, what that does is that it senses nutrients. Also, in the nutrient shadow zone, if the nutrients are not taken up by tumors, mTORC1 senses that and goes down, which is a good thing because if mTORC1 is high, that actually allows the poly-A tail trimming, the recruiters of the proteins that add the caps to the poly-A tails. So the way to stop tumors from sensing and taking up nutrients is by supporting the lysosome with, like, let's say magnesium, resveratrol, so that the lysosome can degrade the exosomes. Because exosomes are loaded with nutrients. But if the lysosome gets the exosomes and also processes the nutrients, that takes the nutrients away from tumors. That way, in the nutrient shadow zone, mTORC1 levels go down because there are no nutrients being sensed, since the lysosome took the nutrients in the exosomes away from the tumor. So astaxanthin in salmon can help support that. As a result, ultimately leading to the destabilizing of mRNAs, reducing mRNAs, reducing poly-A tail trimming resistance. Next one is pretty good too. Grape seed extract has polyphenols. These inhibit ELF4E or ELF4E, therefore decreasing cap stabilization. So grapeseed extracts makes the poly-A tail on the cd70 easier to trim by decreasing or weakening the cap ends on the poly-A tail, because the caps at the end makes it impossible to trim the poly-A tail. Next one also promotes the decapping of tumors, which is a flaxseed meal, has ALA, which is an omega form, and lignans, modulates mRNA, therefore enhancing deadenylation. Deadenylation is like another word for decapping the poly-A tails, because with the caps off, the poly-A tail is able to be trimmed. If the caps are on, the poly-A tail cannot be trimmed. Next foods here are garlic, onion, and turmeric. They all have sulfur compounds, plus curcumin in the turmeric inhibits ELF4E, which is a good thing. Also inhibits NF-κB. Basically, if that goes on for too long, from cd70 oppression on the tumor, cd27 on the immune cell, then that's going to eventually lead to AP1 loss and then T cell exhaustion. If AP1 is lost, T cells cannot be brought back, so AP1 has to be brought back. But garlic, onion, turmeric, and curcumin can prevent that from happening. And last but not least here is a chocolate, and has a flavonoids, moderate cap ELF4E modulation, also mild promotion of AU-rich mRNA decay. So if chocolate reduces mRNA by decaying the mRNA, then the poly-A tail is weaker and more susceptible to trimming. Chocolate also provides mitochondria ATP with a PGC1A. Okay, now a quick addition here is that tumors, they slow decapping by phosphorylating DCP2. Basically, so that means that DCP2 has to be dephosphorylated. So tumors do that as an immune escape tactic, because if DCP2 is phosphorylated, then it cannot decap the poly-A tail. So that's it for the video. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.